Hi everyone, welcome to the tutorial series about JDBC. We have titled this series as Simply JDBC. In the previous lectures, we have seen the different types of drivers which are related to the JDBC. From now onwards, we are going to focus on type 4. So let's get going. So what are the different prerequisites before we actually start doing the coding or implementation? So what are the different installations that you require? First is you require an IDE like NetBeans, or some people may use Eclipse, whichever you guys are preferring. So NetBeans is a IDE that is required. Apart from that, we will be using MySQL as the database. So for that, you need to go to the URL which is highlighted here or which is mentioned here, which is http://dev.mysql.com, and in that downloads, and then for downloads and then Windows, you can download the different components that we will be using. So first thing that we will require will be MySQL server. Then we will be requiring MySQL workbench. So this is a tool to work with the database tables. We'll go into this detail and we will also see how to use this tool. So it's a piece of software or a tool. Then we are going to make use of something called as a connector, so which is provided, which is a pure Java driver or a thin Java driver, which is essentially a jar file, and which is the versions could be different for you. So hence it is written as MySQL connector Java, and then 5.xxx and then bin.jar. So it's used for connecting with MySQL database, and Java application makes use of such a connector. So it's a jar file essentially. Okay, it's written in pure Java. So these are the three things that a person or a developer has to first download and keep it ready before we actually start doing the coding. So you can go to this URL which has been mentioned, and then if you go to this URL, say dev.mysql.com, you can see on the left hand side, you can see this MySQL installer, and you can see MySQL connector, and then MySQL workbench. So all the three which have been highlighted are basically part of this site So you can actually go and, so for example, you can go ahead and install the MySQL installer. Now here a point of caution or an important point which should be, some people may have a 32-bit Windows, some people may have a 64 Windows. So based on your flavor of your operating system that you have on your computer or laptop, based on that, please go ahead and do the installations. So these are some of the points that you should be taking care as part of the prerequisite. So you need to first install there is no specific order, but essentially you should have NetBeans first up and ready, then you can have MySQL server, then followed by the tool that is MySQL workbench, and then the jar file which is a connector which will be used by application. Okay, so let's proceed. So we'll proceed now with creating database and tables, and we will be using this MySQL workbench. So it's a tool which is provided by MySQL. MySQL is an open source database. I think most of you will know this. So on the left hand side, you can see this. There is a database by name study. So here the study stands for database name. In that there are different tables. So you can see in this red box I have highlighted here. So in this study, in this there are different tables. So I have created one table. The table name is employee. In that there are two fields, that is two columns are there. One is employee ID and another is name. Okay, so the same thing is highlighted here. Table, that is an information of this table. So table employee, which are the columns, is int, which is a primary key. So here you can see this is written as PK, which is primary key, and then a name which is a field that is employee ID. So and then the name. So here it is a text or a varchar. Then we can enter, once we have created this database which is, say for example, study, and then a table, say employee, then you can actually keep on entering the data into it. So using this tool you can enter the data, say for example, just to see whether the data is correctly entered and all that. So I just have entered few data. So all this data or all this particular thing is a record. So here you can see employee ID 1 Ganesh, 2 is Suresh, then 3 is Ramesh, 5 is Krishna. So like that you can see these 5 entries are done. So these are 5 records. So how do you do this? So once you type it in there, you need to click on this apply button. So once you click on this apply button, all those things will be entered, and you can see this getting a database getting updated. So how do you see this? So essentially you will run a query. So let's say you can run a SQL query which is like select star from employee. So if I run a SQL query which is select star from employee, then I am going to get such a list, and in the bottom you can see this query is getting executed, and you can see this whenever I have recorded this. So you can see the select star from employee, which is with this limit, automatically this query is converted and it has been executed, and it says that 4 rows are returned. So you can see there are 4 entries, 1, 2, 3 and 5. 4 might have been deleted by me or like that by using. So that means there are 1, 2, 3, there are 4 rows, and employee ID can be unique because it's a unique ID. So maybe I have entered 1, 2, 3 and 5, I didn't purposefully entered 4 like that, or it might have been deleted. Either way, the point is not that there are 4 records, because this is an employee ID which will be unique. Okay, so this is about the creation of database using this MySQL workbench. In that you can create the table, and then you can also enter data into the table, and then you can also see whether the data get listed by running such a query, and the query details can be seen in the bottom. Now let's see what are the different operations that are possible. So if I right click on this particular table, say employee, then you will see such a pop-up or such a menu, and then in that menu you can see there are these 4 things which are important, because normally we will be using this. So here I can create one more table. So for example, if I create table, then I can create one more table. So this also tells you how to create a table once you create a database. Then you can change the table. So for example, you are basically having some issue, or let's say you have created only 2 columns and now you want 3rd column or 4th column like that. So you can alter the table, and you can basically alter the table. Then as a part of table maintenance, further more things can be done. Then dropping out table means you don't want table, so it is as good as deleting or removing a table. So these are the operations that are possible. That is something called as create, then alter. That means you can alter the table and then you can drop the table. So this is about the operations that are possible on a particular table. So in the next class, what we will do is, now we will start studying about interaction with database. So what are the different steps which are required as part of the interaction with the database. Now in this today's lecture, we have seen how to what is a prerequisite. So you guys need to have all the 3 things, that is MySQL installer, so you should install MySQL server and all that, then the workbench as well as the connector that is required to access the database. So once you are done with it, and once you have created a particular database as well as the table, then you are good to go with actual usage of the database. So let's see that as a part of our next class. Thank you.